At family game night, my cousin blurted, "We all know why you really moved states." The table went silent. My mom's fork stopped midair. My aunt pretended to check her phone. But my cousin Bryce just sat there smirking, waiting for me to react. I stayed calm and asked what he meant. He leaned back in his chair and said, "Come on, everyone knows you ran away because you couldn't handle real life here." My uncle laughed nervously and told him to drop it, but Bryce kept going. He said I left because I was too weak to face my problems and that I only came back for the holidays to pretend everything was fine. The worst part? Half the table nodded along like they'd been thinking it the whole time. I looked at my mom and she just stared at her plate. That's when I knew they'd all been talking about me behind my back for years. My younger sister tried to defend me but Bryce cut her off. He said I was always the family disappointment who couldn't stick anything out. He brought up how I'd quit baseball in high school and how I'd dropped out of the local college after one semester. He made it sound like I was a complete failure. His friends at the table were laughing now. Even my grandma looked disappointed. I could feel my face getting hot but I kept my voice steady. So I smiled and said, "You're right, Bryce. I did leave to escape something." He grinned like he'd won. Then I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I turned the screen toward him and said, "I left to escape people like you who peaked in high school." His face dropped. My account balance showed 6 figures. I'd spent the last 4 years working in tech and living below my means while he bounced between his parents' couch and part-time jobs. My aunt gasped and tried to grab my phone but I pulled it back. Bryce's girlfriend looked at him with disgust. But I wasn't done. I opened my email and showed him the offer letter from a company in his city. I said, "I'm actually moving back next month. Bought a house 2 blocks from your parents' place, guess we'll be neighbors." The color drained from his face. My aunt tried to change the subject but I kept talking. I told everyone how Bryce had messaged me last year begging for a loan to cover his rent. How he promised he'd pay me back but blocked me when I asked about it. I even had the screenshots. My uncle's jaw tightened. His face turned red with anger. Bryce stammered and said I was making it up, so I airdropped the messages to everyone at the table. His mom looked like she wanted to crawl under the floor. She grabbed Bryce's arm and demanded to know if it was true. He couldn't even look at her. Then my mom finally spoke up. She said she knew I'd been sending money home to help with her medical bills while Bryce lived rent-free in their basement. She thanked me in front of everyone. My sister started clapping slowly and others joined in. Bryce's face was bright red now. Bryce tried to leave but I stopped him. I said, "By the way, that job offer? It's at the company that just rejected your application. The hiring manager's my friend. I told him all about you." He stared at me in disbelief. His girlfriend stood up and walked out without him. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and said, "Enjoy game night. I've got a flight to catch." As I walked out, I heard my aunt yelling at Bryce and my uncle telling him to pack his things. My mom followed me to the door and hugged me tight. She whispered that she was proud of me and apologized for not defending me sooner. I told her I'd see her at Christmas, at my new house, and she was invited anytime. She asked if Bryce was invited too. I just smiled and said, "He knows where I live." Sometimes the best revenge is just living well, but making sure they all know about it helps too.